Marcus Chen had visited 17 alien worlds during his 3 years as a diplomatic envoy for the United Earth Council, but none had impressed him quite like Valarax Prime. The planet's crimson sky stretched endlessly above crystalline towers that pierced the clouds. Everything here seemed designed to remind visitors that the Kael'thari were a civilization built on strength and glory. He adjusted his gravity compensator as he walked through the grand hall of houses. The device hummed softly against his chest, helping his human body cope with Valarax's crushing gravity. Without it, he would barely be able to stand. Around him, Kael'thari warriors moved with effortless grace, despite their impressive size. Most stood over 7 feet tall, with muscular frames covered in natural armor plating that resembled polished stone. Their eyes glowed faintly in the hall's dimmer corners. "Stay close, Ambassador," his guide, a young Kael'thari named Theron, advised. Today's gathering includes all the major clan leaders. Tensions run high during the season of proving. Marcus nodded, making mental notes. The season of proving was when young Kael'thari nobles demonstrated their worthiness to lead their houses. It involved elaborate ceremonies, combat demonstrations, and political maneuvering that would make Earth's old royal courts seem simple by comparison. They entered the central arena, a massive circular space where hundreds of Kael'thari had gathered. Banners representing different clans hung from the walls, each displaying unique symbols of their house's history and achievements. Marcus spotted weapons on display, swords, axes, and energy-based armaments that seemed more ceremonial than practical. "The exhibition begins," Theron whispered. A young Kael'thari woman stepped into the arena's center. She wore armor that bore the crimson and silver colors of House Korun, one of the most ancient and respected clans. Her posture radiated confidence, and she carried a magnificent sword at her side. The blade seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "That is Commander Cyrith Vas Korun," Theron explained quietly. "Heir to House Korun. She commands 3 battle fleets and has never lost a tactical engagement. Today she presents her clan's achievements to the Council of Houses." Marcus watched as Cyrith began speaking in the Kael'thari language. His translator device converted her words in real time. She spoke of her house's victories, their contributions to Kael'thari civilization, and their continued dedication to the warrior code that had sustained their people for millennia. The crowd listened with obvious respect. Marcus could see why. Cyrith commanded attention not through volume but through the weight of her words and the strength of her presence. Then everything changed. A massive Kael'thari warrior pushed through the crowd into the arena. He wore the dark green colors of House Malthor, and his expression showed nothing but contempt. "House Korun speaks of honor." The warrior's voice boomed across the arena. "But where is the honor in hiding behind ancient glories? Commander Cyrith has won battles against inferior opponents. She has faced no true test of worthiness." The arena fell silent. Marcus felt the tension spike so dramatically that even his human senses could detect it. "Lord Kravik." Cyrith's voice remained calm, but Marcus noticed her hand moved slightly closer to her sword. "If you have a formal challenge, present it to the Council of Houses as tradition demands." "Tradition?" Kravik laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the walls. "I challenge tradition itself. House Korun has grown soft. You speak of warrior codes while employing diplomacy and caution. You negotiate with the soft skins." He gestured dismissively in the direction where Marcus and other alien diplomats stood. "You contaminate Kael'thari strength with weakness." Several warriors from House Malthor moved to stand behind Kravik. This was more than a simple disagreement. This was a calculated political move. "Choose your next words carefully, Kravik," Cyrith warned. "You stand in the Grand Hall during the season of proving. All houses bear witness." "Then let them witness this," Kravik declared. "I invoke the right of challenge. Prove your house's strength now, or admit that House Korun no longer deserves to stand among the warrior clans." Marcus's translator struggled with the gasps and exclamations that followed. Theron grabbed his arm. "We must leave. Now. This is about to become dangerous." But Marcus stayed rooted in place, watching the confrontation unfold. Something about the situation bothered him. Kravik had brought supporters. He had chosen this moment deliberately. This was not an honorable challenge, this was an ambush. Cyrith drew her sword in one fluid motion. The blade sang as it left its sheath, and the arena's lighting seemed to bend toward it. Very well, Kravik. I accept your challenge. Let the houses judge which of us embodies true Kael'thari strength. Kravik smiled and drew his own weapon, a massive battle axe that crackled with energy. Excellent. And since you value the weak so much, fight me without your armor. Show these witnesses what House Korun truly represents. It was a trap. Marcus could see it even if he didn't understand all the cultural nuances. Removing armor during a formal challenge would be seen as either incredible confidence or foolish pride. If Cyrith refused, she would appear weak. If she accepted, she would be at a severe disadvantage. Cyrith's expression did not change. As you wish. She began removing her armor plating, placing each piece carefully on the ground. The ceremonial sword remained in her hand. Marcus noticed several warriors in the crowd shaking their heads. This was wrong somehow. The fight began with explosive speed. Kravik moved faster than Marcus would have thought possible for someone his size. His axe came down in a powerful arc that would have split Cyrith in two. But she rolled aside and countered with a strike to his leg that was blocked by his armor. They exchanged blows for what felt like minutes, but was probably only seconds. Cyrith was skilled, incredibly so, but Marcus could see that fighting without armor against a fully armed opponent was taking its toll. She was forced to defend more than attack, and Kravik was driving her backward with each exchange. Then Kravik did something that made even his own supporters hesitate. During what appeared to be a legitimate exchange, he signaled to two of his warriors. They moved forward from the crowd, positioning themselves behind Cyrith. Theron, Marcus asked urgently, is that allowed? No. Theron's voice was horrified. This is betrayal. He means to kill her. Not simply defeat her, but if we interfere, it will start a war between houses. Marcus watched as Cyrith, focused on Kravik's attacks, failed to notice the warriors behind her. Kravik's next strike was powerful enough to knock her sword from her hand. The blade spun through the air and clattered to the ground several feet away, directly in front of where Marcus stood at the arena's edge. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion. Kravik's warriors moved toward Cyrith's unprotected back. Kravik himself raised his axe for what would clearly be a killing blow. The crowd erupted in shouts, some of outrage at Kravik's dishonor, others of encouragement. Marcus didn't think. He simply acted. He jumped down into the arena, his gravity compensator whining in protest at the sudden movement. His hand closed around the hilt of Cyrith's fallen sword. The weapon was heavy, far heavier than any human blade, but adrenaline gave him strength. He positioned himself between Cyrith and the approaching warriors. Stop! Marcus shouted, holding the sword in a defensive stance that probably looked ridiculous to trained Kael'thari warriors. The entire arena froze. Marcus had expected many reactions. Laughter, perhaps, anger at his interference, even attack. What he did not expect was absolute, complete silence. Kravik stared at him with an expression Marcus could not read. Cyrith, still on the ground, looked at Marcus with something that might have been horror. Every single Kael'thari in the arena stood motionless, as if they had all been turned to stone. Ambassador Chen. Theron's voice came from behind him, barely a whisper. What have you done? I stopped a dishonorable attack, Marcus said, confused. They were going to kill her from behind. Yes, Theron replied, and Marcus had never heard such shock in someone's voice. And to do so, you took up the clan sword of House Korun. Do you understand what that means? Marcus looked down at the blade in his hands. It still glowed with that inner light, but now it seemed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with his own heartbeat. No, he admitted. What does it mean? Cyrith rose to her feet slowly. She stared at Marcus, and her glowing eyes showed a mixture of emotions he could not begin to interpret. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly across the silent arena. It means, Marcus Chen of Earth, that you have invoked the right of the Shield Sworn. By taking up my clan sword in my defense, you have declared yourself my battle partner and... She paused. as if the words pained her. My betrothed, we are now bound by the most sacred vow of the Kael'thari people. Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. You are to be my husband, Cyrith said flatly, and I am to be your wife. The bond cannot be broken without dishonoring both our peoples and destroying the alliance between our civilizations. The sword suddenly felt very heavy in Marcus's hands. Kravik began to laugh, a sound of genuine amusement. Perfect! House Korun's heir, bound to a weak human. You have destroyed your own house, Cyrith. No warrior will follow a leader bonded to such a fragile creature. But Marcus barely heard him. He was staring at Cyrith, who stared back with an expression that mixed resignation, frustration, and something else, perhaps a hint of respect for his foolish bravery. I did not know, Marcus said quietly. Obviously, Cyrith replied. But ignorance does not break the vow. What is done is done. Around them, the arena erupted into chaos as the implications of what had just occurred spread through the crowd. Marcus stood there, still holding the clan's sword, and realized that his simple diplomatic mission had just become impossibly complicated. He had come to Valarax Prime to strengthen the alliance between humans and Kael'thari. He had not expected to do so through marriage. The news spread across the Kael'thari worlds like wildfire through dry grass. Within hours of the incident in the Grand Hall, every major house knew that Commander Cyrith Vas Korun, heir to one of the most ancient warrior clans, had been bound by the shield-sworn right to a human, a species the Kael'thari considered barely stronger than children. Marcus sat in the guest quarters assigned to him, staring at the holographic displays floating before his eyes. Each screen showed a different news broadcast, and none of them were kind. House Korun's shame. Airbound to fragile, off-worlder. The fall of a great house. Commander Cyrith's humiliation. Warrior heritage tainted. Human becomes shield-sworn. His translator worked overtime, converting the Kael'thari commentary. Most of it questioned how House Korun could possibly maintain their position in the Council of Houses with such a weak link in their chain of command. Some broadcasts were more direct, calling the bonding a disgrace to Kael'thari traditions. A soft chime announced a visitor. Marcus opened the door to find Ambassador Williams, the senior human diplomat on Valarax Prime. The older woman's face showed worry and exhaustion. Marcus, we need to talk about your situation, she said, entering without waiting for an invitation. I assume Earth Command is not happy, Marcus replied, closing the door. That's putting it mildly. Williams activated a privacy field that would prevent any listening devices from working. The Council wants you on the next transport home. They're calling this a diplomatic disaster. Marcus had expected this, but hearing it still felt like a punch to his stomach. And the alliance? Hanging by a thread. Several Kael'thari houses are using this incident to argue that humans are too ignorant of their culture to be trusted as allies. They're saying if we can't even understand their basic traditions, how can we coordinate military operations or trade agreements? I was trying to stop a murder, Marcus said quietly. I know, Williams's expression softened. And between you and me, I think you did the right thing. Kravik was going to kill that woman, honor duel or not, but the Kael'thari see things differently. They believe you interfered in their internal affairs. So what happens now? Williams hesitated. There are two options. Option 1. You formally request to break the shield-sworn bond. The Kael'thari have a complex legal process for it. It would take months, involve both governments, and probably destroy any hope of maintaining our alliance. But you'd be free. And option 2? You honor the bond. You undergo the trials of worthiness with Commander Cyrith. If you succeed, the marriage is validated, and you become part of House Korun. If you fail. Williams trailed off. What happens if we fail? Both you and Cyrith are exiled from Kael'thari space. House Korun loses its seat on the council. And every treaty we've negotiated becomes worthless. Marcus closed his eyes. So no pressure then. Marcus, no one expects you to go through with this. The trials are designed for Kael'thari warriors. You're a diplomat, not a soldier. Even with your military service on Earth, You're not trained for what they'll throw at you. What does Commander Cyrith want? Marcus asked. Williams looked away. She hasn't spoken publicly since the incident, but her family released a statement saying, House Corun will abide by tradition, whatever form that takes. After Williams left, Marcus spent hours researching the trials of worthiness. The information available to off-worlders was limited, but what he found was not encouraging. The trials involved combat, tactical challenges, and survival tests. They were designed to prove that a bonded pair could fight together, think together, and lead together. Kael'thari underwent years of training to prepare for the trials. Marcus had 3 months. The next morning, Marcus requested a meeting with Cyrith. He was denied. He tried again the following day, and was denied again. On the third day, he simply went to House Corun's compound and refused to leave until someone spoke with him. He waited for 4 hours in a courtyard designed for beings much larger than humans. His gravity compensator kept him from collapsing, but he could feel the strain on his body. Kael'thari warriors passed by, some staring at him with curiosity, others with obvious contempt. Finally, Cyrith appeared. She looked different outside of the ceremonial setting. She wore simple training armor, and her expression was unreadable. She stopped several feet away from Marcus, maintaining distance. You should not be here, human, she said. My name is Marcus, he replied, standing up despite his aching legs. And I wanted to apologize. I apologize? Cyrith's eyes flashed with something that might have been anger. Do you think an apology changes anything? Do you understand what you have done to my house? To my family? I'm beginning to, Marcus admitted. I've been watching the news broadcasts. I know your people are calling this a shame. I know rival houses are using it to attack your position. They are not simply attacking my position. They are questioning everything House Corun has built over 5,000 years. Because of you. Warriors who have served my family faithfully are now being mocked. Children in schools are being told that House Corun is weak. Marcus absorbed her words, feeling the weight of his impulsive action. I didn't understand your traditions, but I would do it again. Kravik was going to kill you. That wasn't an honor duel. That was an execution. Perhaps, Cyrith said coldly, but that was for me to face, not you. I am a Kael'thari warrior. Death in combat is honorable. Being bound to she paused, as if searching for words, to someone who cannot even walk properly in our gravity, is humiliation. The words stung, but Marcus kept his voice steady. I understand you're angry, but we're in this situation together now. Ambassador Williams told me about the trials. I know what's at stake. The trials, Cyrith laughed, but there was no humor in it. Marcus Chen, you are barely taller than a Kael'thari child. Our training begins when we are 5 years old. We spend decades preparing our bodies and minds for combat. You are a diplomat who sits at tables and talks. How do you expect to survive even the first trial? I don't know, Marcus admitted, but I'm willing to try. Unless you want to go through the process of breaking the bond? Cyrith turned away from him, looking up at the crimson sky. Breaking the bond would destroy the alliance between our peoples. It would prove to the Council that humans are too unreliable to be partners. House Corun values duty above personal feelings. We will not be the ones to break a sacred vow, even one made in ignorance. Then train me, Marcus said. Cyrith turned back to him sharply. What? Train me? Teach me what I need to know to survive the trials. I was a soldier before I became a diplomat. I've trained in combat. I'm not completely helpless. You are human, Cyrith said, as if that explained everything. Your bones are fragile. Your skin tears easily. Your muscles are weak compared to ours. Even if I spent every day training you, you would still be at a massive disadvantage. Maybe, Marcus agreed. But doing nothing guarantees failure. At least give me a chance. Cyrith studied him for a long moment. Marcus met her gaze, refusing to look away despite the intimidating intensity of her glowing eyes. Why? She finally asked. Why would you subject yourself to this? You could return to Earth. Let diplomats handle the political consequences. Instead, you come here and ask me to train you for trials that will likely kill you. What do you hope to gain? And Marcus considered the question carefully. Honor isn't just a Kael'thari concept. Humans understand it too, even if we express it differently. I made a vow, even if I didn't realize it at the time. Breaking that vow would dishonor both of us. I can't control what other people think about this situation, but I can control my own actions. I won't be the one who gives up. Something shifted in Cyrith's expression. Not warmth exactly, but perhaps a small reduction in the cold distance she had maintained. You speak of honor, yet you have no understanding of what the trials will demand. The first trial alone tests combat skills in zero gravity. The second trial requires tactical command of warriors who will not respect human authority. The third trial is survival in the Bloodlands, where the temperature variations alone would kill an unprotected human. Then teach me to survive, Marcus said simply. Cyrith was quiet for another long moment. Then she made a decision. Very well, Marcus Chen. I will train you. Not because I believe you can succeed, but because House Korun does not abandon our shield sworn. No matter how foolish they may be, you will report here at dawn tomorrow. Wear clothing you do not value. It will be destroyed during training. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me yet, Cyrith warned. I will push you harder than you have ever been pushed. I will not show mercy because you are human. If you survive the training, perhaps you will survive the trials. But understand this, I am doing this for my house, not for you. I understand, Marcus replied. Cyrith turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. In the arena, when you took up my sword, why did you not hesitate? You must have known you were overmatched. Kravik's warriors could have killed you easily. Marcus shrugged. I saw someone in trouble. I reacted. It's what humans do. That is either very brave or very stupid, Cyrith observed. My old commander on Earth used to say those two things often look identical until you see the outcome. For the first time, Marcus saw something that might have been the shadow of a smile cross Cyrith's face. It vanished quickly, but it had been there. Dawn, Marcus Chen, do not be late. She walked away, leaving Marcus alone in the courtyard. He looked down at his hands, remembering the weight of the clan sword. He had no idea if he could actually survive what was coming. The odds were overwhelmingly against him, but he had committed to trying, and that was enough for now. Across Valarax Prime, in the halls of various Kael'thari houses, leaders and warriors discussed the strange human who had accidentally bound himself to Commander Cyrith. Most believed he would withdraw before the trials began. Some wagered on how long he would last in training. None of them truly considered the possibility that Marcus Chen might actually succeed. They would soon learn that underestimating humans was a dangerous mistake. Marcus arrived at the House Korun training grounds before dawn. The twin moons of Valarax Prime still hung in the dark sky, casting pale light across the compound. His body ached from yesterday's gravity strain, but he had taken stimulants to help him function. He wore simple combat clothes and had adjusted his gravity compensator to its maximum setting. Cyrith was already there, along with 3 other Kael'thari warriors. They all wore training armor and carried practice weapons that still looked deadly enough to Marcus's eyes. You are early, Cyrith observed. That is good. Time is our enemy, and we have very little of it. She gestured to the other warriors. This is Korvax, my second in command. Thala, master of weapons. And Dren, tactical instructor. They have agreed to assist with your training, though they believe it is pointless. Pleased to meet you, Marcus said, nodding to each of them. Korvax, a massive warrior with scars across his armor plating, grunted. Human. The kindest thing we could do is tell you to run back to your soft world. What Commander Cyrith asks is impossible. Maybe, Marcus replied. But I'm here anyway. Stubborn, Thala remarked. She was smaller than the others but moved with deadly grace. Stubbornness without skill is just pride waiting to be broken. Then let's add some skill to the stubbornness, Marcus said. Cyrith stepped forward. We begin with basic assessment. I need to see what you can actually do. Korvax. Hand him a training blade. Korvax tossed a weapon to Marcus. He caught it awkwardly. The blade was twice the weight of any sword he had trained with on Earth. His arms immediately felt the strain. Too heavy? Cyrith asked. Though her tone made it clear, she already knew the answer. I'll manage, Marcus said, gripping the weapon with both hands. Show me your combat stance. Marcus positioned himself in a basic defensive posture he had learned during his military service. Immediately, all four Kael'thari made sounds of disapproval. Your center of gravity is too high, Cyrith said. Your weight distribution is wrong. Your grip will fail after 3 exchanges. And you are holding the blade like it is a tool, not a weapon. She moved behind him and physically adjusted his stance, pushing his shoulders down, repositioning his feet. Her hands were surprisingly gentle despite her strength. Better. Now attack me. Marcus hesitated. You're not wearing practice armor. I do not need it. Attack me, Marcus Chen. Marcus lunged forward with a basic strike. Cyrith sidestepped so quickly, he barely saw her move. His blade hit nothing but air, and his momentum nearly carried him face first into the ground. Again, Cyrith commanded. He tried a different angle. Same result. Cyrith moved like water, always just beyond his reach. They continued for 30 minutes. Marcus did not land a single hit. By the end, his arms burned with fatigue, and sweat poured down his face despite the cool morning air. Enough, Cyrith finally said. What did you learn? Marcus took several deep breaths before answering. That I'm completely outmatched in direct combat. Correct. Your strength is perhaps 1/3 of mine. Your reflexes are slower. Your reach is shorter. In a fair fight, I would kill you in seconds. She paused. So do not fight fair. Marcus looked up at her, surprised. Cyrith continued. The trials have rules, but those rules do not require traditional combat. They require victory. Kael'thari train for honorable, direct confrontation. We believe strength should meet strength. But you are not Kael'thari. You're saying I should use different tactics? I am saying you must use different tactics, or you will die. Cyrith gestured to the training ground. Come. I will show you something. She led him to an obstacle course filled with barriers, platforms, and terrain variations. The first trial takes place in zero-gravity combat. Kael'thari train for this by developing powerful core muscles and learning to use momentum. But you cannot generate the same momentum we can. So what do? You use what humans have, that we do not: flexibility and spatial thinking. I have researched your species. Your bodies bend in ways ours cannot. Your minds process 3-dimensional movement differently because you evolved climbing trees. These are advantages if you use them correctly. Over the next several hours, Cyrith drilled Marcus on movement in simulated zero gravity. She had him practice using small touches to change direction, learning to move in ways that seemed awkward to Kael'thari but felt natural to his human body. Smaller targets are harder to hit, she explained. Make yourself small. Fold, twist, roll. Use the environment. Do not try to match our power. Instead, be where we are not. The training was brutal. Marcus fell, crashed into obstacles, and collected bruises that would have been minor impacts to Kael'thari, but left him wincing. But slowly, he began to understand what Cyrith was teaching him. After a break for meals, Dren took over the training. The tactical instructor set up a holographic battlefield. The second trial requires you to command mixed teams through combat scenarios, Dren explained. The warriors assigned to you will not want to follow human orders. You must prove your tactical thinking is sound. Dren ran Marcus through simulation after simulation. Each time, Marcus tried to apply standard Kael'thari tactics: aggressive assault, glory-focused charges, overwhelming force. Each time, his simulated team suffered heavy casualties. Stop thinking like you are Kael'thari, Dren finally said, frustrated. Your instinct is wrong. Then how should I think? Marcus asked, exhausted. Like a human, Cyrith said, entering the training area. She had been observing from the side. Show him the Talvex scenario, Dren. Dren nodded and loaded a new simulation. This one showed a defensive position against superior numbers. Standard Kael'thari approach is to charge and break the enemy through force, Cyrith explained. Show us what a human would do. Marcus studied the scenario. The enemy had more warriors and better positioning. A direct assault would be suicide. But humans had fought against superior numbers throughout their history. They had survived by being clever. I wouldn't attack, Marcus said slowly. I'd fortify the position, create fallback points, and use coordinated fire to create casualties while preserving my own forces. Make them pay for every meter they advance until they lose the will to continue. That is cowardly, Dren said immediately. That is smart, Cyrith countered. Run the simulation with those tactics. Dren did, though his skepticism was obvious. The simulation ran for 20 minutes of compressed time. Marcus's defensive tactics worked. The enemy forces took massive casualties while his own team remained largely intact. Eventually, the simulated enemy withdrew. Victory through defense, Dren muttered. I have never seen such tactics succeed so completely. Because Kael'thari value glory over survival, Marcus said, then quickly added. No disrespect intended. But humans fight differently. We fight to protect what matters to us. We don't need glory. We need to make sure the people we care about survive. Cyrith looked at him with an expression he could not quite read. And this is how Earth has survived? By protecting rather than conquering? Sometimes, Marcus admitted. We're not always noble. But yes, our best moments come when we fight for something bigger than personal glory. The training continued for weeks. Marcus learned to move in ways that confused Kael'thari opponents. He studied human military history and applied tactics that seemed strange to his instructors but proved effective in simulations. He pushed his body beyond any limits he had experienced before. 2 months into training, Cyrith arranged a public demonstration. House Korun needed to show the council that Marcus was not completely helpless. A crowd gathered to watch Marcus spar against one of House Korun's regular guards, not a champion, but still a skilled warrior. The match began in a zero-gravity chamber. The Kael'thari guard moved with practiced confidence, using powerful pushes off walls to generate momentum for strikes. Marcus moved differently, smaller movements, constant direction changes, using his flexibility to fold his body around obstacles. The guard lunged at him with a practice blade. Marcus twisted in midair, letting the blade pass through the space where his torso had been a moment before. He grabbed a wall-mounted handhold and used it to redirect himself at an unexpected angle, landing a light touch on the guard's back before bouncing away. The crowd murmured in surprise. The guard, annoyed now, attacked more aggressively, but aggression in zero gravity meant commitment to momentum. Marcus baited 2 more charges, avoiding both and scoring touches each time. He did not have the power to cause real damage, but in a scored match, touches counted as points. When the match ended, Marcus had won on points despite never landing what Kael'thari would consider a proper strike. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some called his tactics dishonorable. Others seemed disturbed by something deeper. Marcus had not fought like a Kael'thari, and that made him unpredictable. Afterward, in the training room, Korvax approached Marcus. The big warrior had been skeptical from the beginning, but now his expression was thoughtful. Human, Korvax said. I owe you an apology. I thought you would fail immediately. But you won that match. Using tactics I have never encountered. You did not fight with honor, but you fought with intelligence. Thank you, I think, Marcus replied, unsure if that was actually a compliment. It is a compliment, Korvax assured him. Among Kael'thari, we say strength breaks walls. But I watched you today. You did not break walls. You went around them. Perhaps humans have something to teach us after all. That evening, Cyrith found Marcus reviewing footage of his match. She sat down beside him the first time she had chosen to be near him when not actively training. You did well today, she said quietly. I got lucky, Marcus replied. No, Luck is random. What you did was planned, practiced, and executed properly. That is skill. She paused. I must confess something. When you first asked me to train you, I believed you would quit within days. Humans are known for being soft, for avoiding hardship when possible. Some of us are, Marcus admitted. But not all of us. I see that now. You have trained harder than many young HFY warriors I have known. Your body is weaker, but your will— She seemed to search for words. Your will is strong. That is warrior spirit, regardless of species. Marcus felt warmth at her words. Over the past 2 months, Cyrith had remained distant and professional. This was the first time she had spoken to him as something other than an unfortunate obligation. The trials begin in 3 weeks, Cyrith continued. The council has accelerated the schedule. They want to resolve this situation quickly. Are we ready? Marcus asked. No, Cyrith said honestly. 3 months is not enough time to fully prepare. But you have learned more than I thought possible. We have a chance. A small one, but a chance. Then we'll make the most of it, Marcus said. Cyrith stood to leave, then paused. Marcus, why do you continue? You could still request to break the bond. Enough time has passed that it would not be seen as immediate cowardice. You could return to Earth with some dignity. Marcus thought about his answer carefully. Because breaking the vow would hurt you and your house, and because— He hesitated. Because I'm starting to understand what honor means to your people. It's not that different from what it means to mine. We just express it differently. Cyrith nodded slowly. Rest tonight. Tomorrow we begin final preparations. The real test is coming. She left, and Marcus sat alone with his thoughts. In 3 weeks, he would face the trials of worthiness. He knew the odds were against him, but he also knew he had learned something important during these months of training. Humans did not need to be the strongest or the fastest. They needed to be adaptable, creative, and stubborn enough to keep trying when others would quit. And if there was one thing Marcus Chen had proven over the past 2 months, it was that humans could be incredibly stubborn. The day of the trials arrived under a blood-red dawn. Marcus stood in the preparation chamber of the Grand Arena, checking his equipment one final time. His gravity compensator was calibrated perfectly. His combat suit, specially designed by House Korun's engineers, would protect him from environmental hazards while allowing full mobility. He carried no weapons, yet those would be provided during the trials themselves. Cyrith entered the chamber, already dressed in her trial armor. She looked every bit the warrior commander, but Marcus noticed tension in her shoulders that had not been there during training. The council has announced the trial formats, she said without preamble. The first trial is zero-gravity combat as expected. The second is tactical command. The third— She paused. The third has been changed. Changed how? Normally, the third trial is survival in the Bloodlands for 3 days. The council has extended it to 5 days and specified the harshest region. They have also ruled that your gravity compensator must be deactivated during that trial. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. 5 days in high gravity without assistance would be incredibly dangerous for a human. They're trying to make sure I fail. Yes, Cyrith said bluntly. Lord Kravik and his allies have influenced the trial masters. They want you to withdraw before you begin, or to fail so dramatically that House Korun's humiliation is complete. Will the council allow this? The rules technically permit trial masters to adjust difficulties based on the candidate's capabilities. They claim they are making the trials appropriately challenging for a shield-sworn pair that includes an off-worlder. Cyrith's expression hardened. It is manipulation, but it is legal manipulation. Marcus absorbed this information. Then we adapt. We've been training for 3 months. We'll figure it out. Your optimism is admirable, Cyrith said. But Marcus, you must understand, if at any point the trials become too dangerous, you can withdraw. There is no shame in recognizing when a challenge is beyond your capability. Isn't there? Marcus met her glowing eyes. I thought Kael'thari valued courage. Withdrawing because something is difficult doesn't seem very courageous. Courage is not the same as stupidity. I know. But I also know that if I withdraw, House Korun loses everything you've worked for. Your family's honor is tied to this now. I won't be the reason you fall. Something flickered in Cyrith's expression, surprise, perhaps, or respect. You have changed, Marcus Chen. When we began training, you were a diplomat trying to survive. Now, you speak like a warrior thinking of his shield partner. Before Marcus could respond, a chime announced it was time to enter the arena. The grand arena was filled beyond capacity. Thousands of Kael'thari had come to witness the trials. Marcus could see representatives from every major house, along with alien diplomats from a dozen species. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation and judgment. The trial master, an ancient Kael'thari covered in ceremonial armor, stood at the center. His voice boomed across the arena through amplification devices. We gather to witness the trials of worthiness. Commander Cyrith Vaskorun and Marcus Chen of Earth have invoked the shield-sworn bond. They must now prove their right to stand together as battle partners and life-mates. Let the first trial begin. The arena floor opened, revealing a massive zero-gravity chamber below. Transparent walls allowed spectators to see everything. Inside the chamber, obstacles floated in place, walls, platforms, and barriers of various sizes. The first trial. Combat in the void, the trial master announced. You will face 2 champions chosen by the council. Victory requires either submission of your opponents or maintaining control of the central platform for 5 continuous minutes. Weapons are permitted. Lethal force is prohibited, but injuries are expected. Marcus and Cyrith descended into the chamber. The moment they entered, gravity ceased. Marcus felt his stomach lurch as he became weightless. But months of training steadied him. Their opponents entered from the opposite side, 2 massive Kael'thari warriors in full combat armor, each carrying a battle staff crackling with energy. Remember your training, Cyrith said quietly through their communication link. Small movements. Use the space. Do not try to match their power. Rebellowed. Understood, Marcus replied, grabbing one of the provided weapons, a shorter blade better suited to his size. The signal sounded, and the trial began. The Kael'thari champions pushed off from their starting platform with explosive force, rocketing toward Marcus and Cyrith. Cyrith met one head-on, her blade clashing against the battle staff with a flash of light. Marcus twisted away from the second champion, using a nearby obstacle to change his direction. The champion pursuing Marcus swung his staff in a wide arc. In gravity, such a move would be powerful. In zero gravity, it committed the champion's entire body to the rotation. Marcus had trained for exactly this. He tucked his body into a tight ball, rolling through the space beneath the staff, and used his blade to tap the champion's back as he passed, scoring a touch point. The crowd gasped. First blood, as Kael'thari called it. And it had gone to the human. The champion roared in frustration and pushed off a wall to chase Marcus. But anger made him predictable. Marcus bounced between obstacles, staying just ahead, making the larger warrior waste energy on pursuit. Meanwhile, Cyrith fought her opponent with devastating precision. Her movements were economical, powerful, calculated. Within 2 minutes, she had scored 3 touch points and forced her opponent into a defensive position. Marcus, the platform, Cyrith called out. Marcus understood immediately. They did not need to defeat their opponents, they only needed to control the central platform for 5 minutes. He changed direction, using a series of quick pushes off obstacles to propel himself toward the floating platform at the chamber's center. His opponent realized the strategy and tried to intercept, but Marcus had built up good momentum. He reached the platform first and used magnetic grips on his boots to anchor himself. 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. The 2 champions regrouped and attacked together, trying to dislodge Marcus and Cyrith from the platform. What followed was a defensive battle, unlike anything the Kael'thari had seen. Cyrith held one side, her blade moving in patterns that created an impenetrable barrier. Marcus held the other, not through strength but through unpredictability, dodging, weaving, using the platform's edges to create angles that confused his attacker. Twice, Marcus was nearly knocked off. Twice, Cyrith called out warnings that allowed him to adjust. They were functioning as a true team now, each covering the other's weaknesses. The final 30 seconds felt eternal. The champions made desperate attempts to break through. But Marcus and Cyrith held their ground. The signal sounded. 5 minutes completed. First trial. Complete. The trial master announced. Victory to the shield-sworn pair. The crowd erupted in noise, some cheering, many expressing disbelief, others angry at the result. Marcus and Cyrith exited the chamber, both breathing heavily. Well done, Cyrith said quietly. But that was the easiest trial. The second trial began immediately. Marcus and Cyrith were taken to a command center, overlooking a holographic battlefield. They were given a mixed force of 20 warriors, 10 from various houses who had volunteered, and 10 from House Malthor, Kravik's clan. The second trial, Command Under Fire, the trial master announced. You must lead your assigned force through enemy territory to secure 3 strategic objectives. Your team's communication system allows them to hear your commands. They are required to follow orders, but their respect must be earned. As soon as the simulation began, Marcus understood the real challenge. The House Malthor warriors immediately began questioning every order, creating discord in the ranks. Why do we take the valley route? One of them demanded. The direct approach is faster. The direct approach has 3 ambush points, Marcus explained, highlighting them on the tactical display. We'd lose half our force before reaching the first objective. Cowards thinking, another Malthor warrior spat. Cyrith started to intervene, but Marcus stopped her. Let me handle this. He switched the communication to broadcast to all warriors. I know you don't respect human tactics. I know you think defensive strategy is dishonorable. But let me ask you something. How many warriors has House Malthor lost in the past year pursuing glory? Silence on the communication line. I researched your house's battle records, Marcus continued. You've won impressive victories, but your casualty rates are 3 times higher than House Korun's. That's not strength. That's waste. I'm not asking you to abandon honor. I'm asking you to consider that protecting your warriors' lives is also honorable. More silence. Then one of the neutral warriors spoke up. The human makes sense. I will follow his orders. Slowly, the others agreed. Even some of the Malthor warriors seemed convinced. The simulation ran for 2 hours. Marcus used tactics that minimized casualties while achieving objectives, flanking maneuvers, coordinated fire patterns, strategic retreats that baited enemies into traps. Every decision prioritized keeping his warriors alive while completing the mission. When the simulation ended, all 3 objectives had been secured, with only 2 simulated casualties, the lowest loss rate in trial history. The trial master looked stunned. Second trial. Complete. Victory to the shield-sworn pair. The third trial would not begin until the following day. Marcus and Cyrith returned to House Korun's compound to rest and prepare. 2 trials. 2 victories. Korvax greeted them. The council is in chaos. No one expected you to succeed this far. The third trial will be the hardest, Cyrith said. 5 days in the Bloodlands without gravity assistance. Marcus, are you certain you want to continue? Marcus looked at the faces around him, Korvax, Thela, Dren, and Cyrith. Over 3 months, these Kael'thari had gone from skeptical instructors to something like friends. House Korun had invested everything in preparing him for this moment. I'm certain, he said. We finish this together. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He reviewed everything he knew about the Bloodlands, extreme temperature variations, dangerous wildlife, toxic plants, and crushing gravity that would make every movement agony. He heard a sound and turned to find Cyrith standing in the doorway. Cannot rest either? She asked. Too much thinking, Marcus admitted. Cyrith entered and sat across from him. I want to tell you something. When this began, I saw you as a burden. An ignorant human who had ruined my life through carelessness. But these months have changed my perspective. You have trained harder than many Kael'thari. You have shown courage and intelligence. And today, watching you command those warriors. She paused. I was proud to stand beside you. Marcus felt unexpected emotion at her words. Thank you. That means more than you know. Tomorrow will be our greatest challenge, Cyrith said. But whatever happens, know that you have already exceeded every expectation. You have proven that humans deserve respect. We'll succeed, Marcus said with more confidence than he felt. We've come too far to fail now. Cyrith nodded and stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. Marcus, when this is over, when we have completed the trials, I think I would like to know you better. Not as obligation, but as choice. Before Marcus could respond, she was gone, leaving him alone with thoughts that were now even more complicated than before. The transport carried Marcus and Cyrith toward the Bloodlands as the sun rose over Valarax Prime. Marcus stared out the window at the approaching wilderness, a vast expanse of crimson rock formations, steaming geysers, and twisted vegetation that looked more like weapons than plants. Final equipment check, Cyrith said, helping Marcus secure his survival pack. 5 days. No communication devices allowed. No weapons beyond basic survival tools. Your gravity compensator will be deactivated the moment we land. I remember, Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady. The pilot announced their approach. Moments later, the transport landed in a cleared zone at the Bloodlands edge. Through the windows, Marcus could see the trial master and observers waiting to verify the trial's start. Last chance to withdraw, Cyrith said quietly. No one would blame you. Marcus looked at her, this warrior who had gone from viewing him with contempt to respecting him, perhaps even caring about him. He thought about House Korun, about the alliance between their peoples, about everything that depended on the next 5 days. Let's finish this, he said. They exited the transport. The trial master approached with a device that would deactivate Marcus's gravity compensator. Are you prepared, Marcus Chen of Earth? Yes, Marcus answered. The device activated. Immediately, Marcus felt Valarax's full gravity slam into him like a physical blow. His knees nearly buckled. Every breath became an effort. The weight of his own body felt crushing. The third trial begins now, the trial master announced. 5 days. Survive. Reach the extraction point on the opposite side of the Bloodlands. And return here. Both members of the Shield-sworn pair must arrive alive, or the trial is failed. The observers returned to the transport, which lifted off, leaving Marcus and Cyrith alone in the wilderness. Can you walk? Cyrith asked, concern clear in her voice. Marcus took a step. His legs screamed in protest. But they held. Yes. It's going to be slow. But I can move. We have 120 hours, Cyrith calculated. The extraction point is 40 kilometers away. That means we must average 8 kilometers per day, accounting for rest periods. They began walking. For Marcus, each step was agony. The gravity made his bones ache, his muscles strain, his lungs burn. Cyrith stayed close, ready to catch him if he fell. After 2 hours, they had covered barely 3 kilometers. Marcus's body was already approaching its limits. Rest, Cyrith commanded, guiding him to a rock formation that provided shade. Marcus collapsed against the rock, gasping. Not going to make it at this pace. You will, Cyrith said firmly. Your body needs time to adjust. Humans are adaptation specialists, remember? Your physiology will compensate. She was right. But the adjustment period might take longer than 5 days. Marcus forced himself to drink water and eat the high-energy rations they had packed. As night fell, the temperature plummeted. Cyrith set up a thermal shelter while Marcus gathered the specific dried plants they had identified during preparation, ones that burned slowly and produced heat without toxic smoke. Sleep, Cyrith ordered. I will take first watch. The Bloodlands have predators that hunt at night. Marcus wanted to argue that he should share watch duties, but his body had other ideas. Within minutes of lying down, exhaustion pulled him into sleep. He woke to Cyrith, shaking his shoulder urgently. Something is coming. Marcus forced himself to sit up, every muscle protesting. Through the darkness, he heard sounds, clicking noises, and the scrape of claws on rock. Cyrith had drawn her survival knife. Marcus grabbed his own. A creature emerged from the shadows, massive, six-legged, with armor plating that resembled the rock formations around them. Its eyes glowed with predatory intelligence. Razorback hunter, Cyrith identified. Very dangerous. Do not move suddenly. But the creature had already detected them. It advanced slowly, clicking sounds coming from its throat. Marcus's mind raced. They could not outrun it. Especially not with his limited mobility. Fighting it directly would be suicide. The thermal shelter, Marcus whispered. It's generating heat signature. That's what attracted it. We need the shelter to survive the night cold, Cyrith replied. Not if we make it think we're more trouble than we're worth. Marcus grabbed one of the dried plant bundles from their fire. He lit it with their ignition tool, creating a bright flame, and threw it directly at the creature. The razorback hunter recoiled from the sudden light and heat. Again, Marcus said. Cyrith understood. They threw more burning plants, creating a wall of small fires between themselves and the predator. The creature circled, looking for an opening, but each time it approached, they threw another flame. After 10 minutes, it finally retreated, deciding easier prey existed elsewhere. Clever, Cyrith acknowledged. You used its instincts against it. Humans have been dealing with predators for millions of years, Marcus said, his hands shaking from adrenaline. We learned that fire is a universal language for leave us alone. The second day was harder. Marcus's body had not adjusted as quickly as Cyrith hoped. Each kilometer took over an hour to traverse. By midday, they had fallen behind schedule. We need to increase pace, Cyrith said, worry creeping into her voice. I'm trying, Marcus gasped, leaning against her for support. They continued until Marcus's legs simply gave out. He collapsed, unable to force his body further. Marcus! Cyrith caught him before he hit the ground. Just need a minute, he managed. But it was not just a minute. His body had reached its absolute limit. Cyrith made camp early, using medical supplies to treat the strain injuries Marcus had developed. She said nothing, but Marcus could see the calculations in her eyes. They were not going to make it at this rate. That night, as Marcus lay in the shelter, he felt despair creeping in. He had come so far, proven so much, only to fail because his human body simply could not handle the physical demands. Do not give up, Cyrith said quietly, sitting beside him. Not now. My body is giving up for me, Marcus replied bitterly. Then we adapt. That is what humans do, yes? They adapt. Cyrith was quiet for a moment, then made a decision. Tomorrow, I will carry our supplies. You carry only water and survival essentials. We reduce the weight your body must move. That's not fair to you. Fair is irrelevant. We are shield sworn. Your burden is my burden. That is the meaning of the bond. She met his eyes. When you took up my sword, you accepted my battles as your own. Now I accept your limitations as something we overcome together. The third day, with reduced weight, Marcus could move faster. His body began adapting not quickly, but noticeably. His breathing became more efficient. His steps more stable. They covered 7 kilometers that day. On the fourth day, disaster struck. They were crossing a ravine using a natural rock bridge when the stone crumbled beneath Marcus's feet. He fell, catching the edge with one hand. The gravity made holding on nearly impossible. Marcus! Cyrith lunged forward, grabbing his arm. She pulled with all her considerable strength, hauling him back onto solid ground. They lay there for a moment, both breathing hard. Thank you, Marcus said. No thanks needed. We are partners. Cyrith helped him to his feet. Come. We are close now. The extraction point appeared on the morning of the 5th day, but between them and their goal stood one final obstacle, Lord Kravik and 2 of his warriors. What are you doing here? Cyrith demanded. Observers are not permitted to interfere with trials. We are not interfering, Kravik said smoothly. We are simply present. This is public land during trial periods. However, if you wish to reach the extraction point, you must pass through this narrow canyon. And we happen to be standing in it. It was a trap, carefully planned within the technical boundaries of trial rules. Kravik was not officially stopping them, just occupying space they needed to cross. "Step aside, Kravik," Sireth ordered. "Do not dishonor yourself further." "Dishonor? I merely stand here. If the human cannot walk past me, perhaps he is too weak to complete the trial." Marcus studied the situation. The canyon was narrow, with steep walls. Going around would add hours they did not have. Fighting was prohibited during trials, unless in self-defense. Then Marcus had an idea. A crazy, desperate idea that was either brilliant or insane. "Lord Kravik," Marcus called out, his voice carrying despite his exhaustion. "I challenge you. Not to combat to a test of will. You stand there because you believe I am weak. I say I am strong enough to walk past you. If I succeed in simply walking through that canyon despite your presence, you admit before the council that humans deserve respect." Kravik's eyes narrowed. "And if you fail? Then I withdraw from the trial and House Korun accepts defeat." "Marcus, no," Sireth protested, but Marcus was already walking forward. Each step was agony. The gravity crushed him. His body screamed for rest. But he kept moving. Directly toward Kravik, the massive Kael'thari stood his ground, expecting Marcus to stop or collapse. But Marcus did not stop. He walked forward with pure determination. And when he reached Kravik, he looked up at the warrior. "I am Marcus Chen of Earth. I am shield sworn to Sireth Vas Korun. And I am walking through this canyon. You can stand aside with honor, or I will walk through you." For a long moment, Kravik stared down at the human who should have been broken by 5 days in the Bloodlands, who should have been cowering before a superior warrior, who should have quit long ago. Then Kravik did something unexpected. He laughed, not mockery, but genuine amusement. "You are either the bravest or most foolish creature I have ever encountered, human. I cannot decide which." He stepped aside. "Walk through. Marcus Chen. You have earned passage." Marcus and Sireth crossed the canyon. They reached the extraction point with minutes to spare. The transport arrived. The trial master verified their arrival. "The third trial is complete. All 3 trials have been passed successfully." The news spread across Valarax Prime within the hour. The impossible had happened. A human had completed the trials of worthiness alongside a Kael'thari warrior. The council convened an emergency session. 3 days later, Marcus and Sireth stood before the assembled houses for the formal validation ceremony. The trial master spoke. "The shield-sworn pair of Sireth Vas Korun and Marcus Chen of Earth have completed all trials. Their bond is validated. Their right to marry is recognized by this council." The votes were counted. Despite opposition from Kravik's faction, the majority of houses voted to validate the bonding. Marcus had proven something they could not ignore, that strength came in many forms, and humanity deserved respect. The formal wedding ceremony took place 1 month later, blending Kael'thari traditions with human elements. Marcus wore armor bearing both the colors of House Korun and the insignia of Earth. Sireth wore a gown that incorporated both cultures' aesthetics. As they stood together, Sireth spoke quietly enough that only Marcus heard. "When you took up my sword, I thought my life was ruined. Now, I understand. It was the beginning of something new. You have changed not just me, but our entire civilization's understanding of what strength means. We changed it together," Marcus replied. "That's what partners do." The ceremony concluded with both human and Kael'thari celebrating together. In the crowd, Marcus saw Ambassador Williams crying happy tears. He saw Korvax, Thela, and Dren raising ceremonial glasses in salute. He even saw Lord Kravik nod with grudging respect. Later, as news of the successful trials spread to other species, a quiet fear began to grow among the galaxy's powers. If one human could change Kael'thari culture through determination alone, what could humanity accomplish when they truly set their minds to it? The answer, they would learn in the years to come, was anything they wanted, because humans did not need to be the strongest, or the fastest, or the most advanced. They simply needed to be stubborn enough to never give up. clever enough to adapt, and brave enough to face impossible challenges. And those traits, combined with the strength of allies they inspired, made humanity the most terrifying force the galaxy had ever encountered.